Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Monday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Clinic, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com, and restoredmotions.com. Appreciate y'all for being here with us. As always, hope you had an awesome weekend. Certainly a disappointing end of the weekend, but hey, man, just tried to help you put your kids through college. Told y'all to hammer the Steelers yesterday. Mike D's angle ranged true once again. The week a team loses its starting center, they fail to cover some 85% of the time. Lo and behold, no Eric McCoy. Throw on top of that, no Andrews Pete. Just a generally bad team. Short week for the Saints on the road. Steelers coming off their bye. Pretty obvious to see why that went the way it did yesterday. So Saints with a pretty poor effort all the way around, man. And with Tampa winning, moving to 5-5, and the Saints losing, moving to 3-7, you're now 2 full games behind Tampa, which means with 7 games to go, you have to finish 2 games better than them to tie them. So let's say the Saints finish 5-2. You need them to go 3-4. And one of your wins has to be against them. Yeah, the Saints aren't going 5-2, and the Bucks aren't going 3-4 the rest of the way. So, Saints season's over. Any glimmering, lingering hope that you might have had was extinguished yesterday. So, I think the real questions now for this team are not this team, it's for this organization. It's who are you committing to the future, and is Dennis Allen going to be your coach next year? And look, Gail Benson's done it before, man. They gave Stan Van Gundy the one and done treatment with the Pelicans. Realized it was not a great situation with he and the players and the direction of the organization, and they moved on after 1 year. So, y'all know my feeling on it. After the Arizona game, listening to Dennis Allen blame injuries, that was my moment where I knew this he's a lieutenant, he's not a general. And you'd never win with him. So, and I'll, maintain that. You're not going to win with him. So, hopefully, they can find some positives here over the final 7 games. But hard to see it, man. And especially without having a draft pick, a first-round pick. I mean, your saving grace, I think, would be Sean Payton going to coach somewhere and you getting a lofty pick. Now, the other thing I'll tell you, too, is just keep in mind, the worse the Saints finish, the higher their second-round pick becomes, right? So if you finish with the 3rd worst record in the league, just throwing that out there, well, then you get the 35th pick in the draft, which, let's say you have, you may have a first-round grade on a player that doesn't go in round 1 that you may be able to take it at number 35. So we'll see. Stinks, man. Beginning of November, we're already talking about the draft. That's what it's like to be Jets fans. Wow. Brian Wynn, Dustin Johnson, David Coslin, Ray Mock. What's going on? Let's pretend the Saints don't exist and talk SEC West champs. We're talking about both. Brian Arsenault, listen, obviously LSU is primarily what we focus on, but we're going to talk about both. Brian Arsenault, Jason Austin, what's up? Good morning. Jason, I had Chargers plus 7.5 last night, so I was okay with the outcome. Quentin Breakbill, Matt Blanchard. Good morning, Matt. projected on the bottom. No. Projected on the bottom, now we're here. Chase Pellegrin, hey Dad, good morning. Brian Wynn. I've been traveling lately, haven't been able to listen. You may have touched on this. Do you think A&M bites the bullet, or is Jimbo's buyout too much for their endowment to handle? Well, keep in mind, Brian, the endowment's not paying for it, right? When I talk about endowments, that's just an illustration of how much money a school has, right? An athletic director will fundraise among prominent boosters to pay that money. And the point is, in a matter of a couple of phone calls, they could have $86 million like that at A&M. I think it's really more of a question of if they're convinced Jimbo will never get it right. And this has been a miserable season. However, I would submit to you that, after the embarrassing App State loss, they made the change to Max Johnson and beat Arkansas and beat Miami and looked to be going in the right direction. And of course, Max Johnson got hurt, and then their spiral started. I'm not telling you that they'd be competing for anything of significance. I also don't think they would have lost 6 in a row had he not gotten hurt. So, I think it's interesting to see what they do. Tim Gotro, Dalton Barnett, Trivia Carter, Wendell Norman, Dane Bergeron, Weston Weaver, good morning. Josh, who'd that say they're going to beat them Saints? Right now, lots of people, man. Brady Smith, morning, Matt decided to go play golf yesterday instead of watching the Saints. Looks like it was the right decision. A lot of you have the luxury of not watching. I don't. Let's see, Dalton, what's the expectation versus the Aggies next week? Still have so much talent. They're worse than Vandy somehow. Yeah, LSU should... Hang on one second. Sorry. I heard him. I was making sure he wasn't jumping around his bed. LSU is going to be a pretty significant favorite over A&M. And should go there and win that game. But then again, man, A&M had a pass into the end zone against Alabama to win it with Haynes King at quarterback. So, you got to go play a solid game. Vic Boy, Pain Music, what's wrong with Dennis Allen? He's just not a great head coach, man. I think he's a good defensive mind. He's proven he's a good defensive coordinator in this league. But to be a head coach, man, you got to make tough decisions. You have to make strategic decisions. In-game strategic decisions. Personnel, who's going to start where. You had an offensive line shuffle yesterday. You decided to keep Ruiz at right guard and insert a new center and new left guard. Probably not a great decision. I mean, Ruiz at center, Throckmorton at right guard probably would have been your better option. That's on that coach. Your offensive line got annihilated. His decision to continue to stick with Andy Dalton. It's head coach's decision. It's not a good one. Andy Dalton's not a good player. We've talked about this. He was a good player at a point. Now he's a veteran who, in a spot, could come in and function your offense. But if you're asking Andy Dalton to go win games consistently, he's not that guy. It's why every team he's been with the last 3 years has cut him. He's just not that guy, and you're seeing it. So, the only thing that's interesting for the remainder of the season is if they reinsert Jameis as the starter, if he's actually healthy, to see if he sparks the offense. Because remember, you did sign Jameis to a 2-year deal, so he's got another year on his contract. So you know, this might be, hey, here's your final shot, man. You get 7 games. Let's see what you got. Jermaine Gordon, morning from Hollywood, Florida. Okay. Robert Collins, LSU Georgia score prediction. So I asked Jimmy Ott last week. He said the line would be 11. I asked Phil Steele yesterday. He said the line would be 17. So, Robert, let's just wait until we get closer to the game to start doing predictions. But understand LSU is going to be a 2-score underdog against Georgia. Joseph felt well. We had more penalties and first downs. That's telling. Taz, good morning. Joey Vincent, Matt Lusto, good morning. Hey, you, good morning. Fire, DA, and Loomis need to rid themselves of all Peyton guys. Remember, Loomis is the one who hired Peyton, so it's not fair to say that Loomis is a Peyton guy. Jermaine Gordon, he's no Sean Payton, but who is? See, I'm not okay with that logic, Jermaine. Because if that's your logic, then you just accept that you're never going to be good again. There's plenty of great, competent coaches waiting for their opportunity. I mean, look at Kyle Shanahan. Look at Sean McVay. Look at Sean McDermott. There's plenty of coaches who just need their chance, and when they get it, look what happens. Look at the Vikings right now. You know, I'm sure it was not easy moving on from Zimmer. You know, but they did. Now that they're look at Philly with Sirianni. You know, I mean, come on, you can't just say, well, nobody's going to be Sean Payton. Well, so what, you're just not going to have a coach? I mean, you can't accept that reality. You can't accept that as reality. Jason Mobile, good morning. Do you ever, just for fun, try to reach out to the guy from Notre Dame who said Kelly wouldn't succeed? It would be fun to hear you pimp slap him again. No, I never talked to him in the first place. Again, Notre Dame just isn't really I don't care about Notre Dame. That's not my issue. It is fun to watch them squirm, though. Brad David, what does Jimbo need to do to turn it around? Probably hire an offensive coordinator. It very much has a less Cam feel to it, where he's just not willing to relinquish control of that part, and it might cost him. Vic boy, this team's not even worth ranting over. Oh yeah, that's true. Listen, I did my rant. My rant came after the Cardinals game when they lost the 2 games in 5 days to the Bengals and the Cardinals. The manner in which they lost it, I ranted, and that was it. I buried them at that point. So while maybe I was hopeful for something, and look, beating the Raiders was nice, and the way they did, that's the nature of a bad football team. Is you're still a professional football team, and you're still going to have good days, and you're still going to win games, but you're just not consistent enough to do it on a week-in, week-out basis to be sustainable. And that's what you have to do in the NFL to win, and they're just not that. So, excuse me. Yeah, Josh said, hey, give him one of the best teams the best picks. I mean, the Eagles are going to probably get, or not probably, I mean, the Eagles are going to get a top 10 pick this year from the Saints. Why even make that hire known as track record as head coach? Look, Strong said, I'll be honest with you. Again, first of all, that's revisionist history right now. And anybody can make that comment with the benefit of hindsight. And I've talked about this already. I was okay with the hire when they made it. He wasn't my first choice, but I was okay with the hire. It made sense. He had a first. There are plenty of examples of coaches who failed in their first stint as a head coach, who won in their second stint. Bill Belichick was fired in Cleveland after his first stint as a head coach, and went to the Patriots and became the greatest coach ever. He didn't just automatically learn how to coach, but sometimes the organization you're in, the resources you have, the support you have, All that matters. And Dennis Allen was in an awful organization in Oakland where Matt McGloin was his quarterback. I mean, it was just terrible. So, I mean, I understood. And then he came back here, had been under Sean Payton. He knew the players, he knew the culture, knew the personnel, knew all that stuff. And there was a lot of reason why that made sense. Like, sometimes you can make a hire and it makes sense and it doesn't work, and that's okay. But when it doesn't work, the worst thing you can do is just keep trying to force it. Like, once you acknowledge, okay, this isn't working, you got to move on. Otherwise, you keep digging yourself deeper and deeper into a hole. So, Sheldon Adams, good morning, Matt. Sheldon, South Africa again. Where could Sean go for us to get a good first-round pick? I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a great first-round pick, Sheldon. But Sean Payton has always said that he wants to be coastal. And he's not going to go anywhere where he doesn't have a quarterback. So the two very obvious spots before the season that made sense were Miami and the Chargers. Well, Miami's having a heck of a season, and I don't think they're firing their coach. If the Chargers keep slipping, that's what I think is the one to watch, would be LA. I could see Sean Payton in LA. I could see him with Justin Herbert. That would make a lot of sense. And the Chargers right now are 5-4. They're second in their division. So I don't think it's any way of a given that he would go there. Everyone always mentions Dallas. And there's a ton of reasons why Dallas makes sense. And for all the reasons we all know. But the one that doesn't is, I don't think Sean Payton's going to go to a spot where he's not in control. And in Dallas, Jerry's in control, man. So, YouTube, please smash that like button if you would. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Dylan Horn, any chance Hooker falls far enough to pick? Yeah, I mean, I think the Saints would have an opportunity to draft Hendon Hooker in round 2. Glenn Thomas, Elgin, Harrell, Perkins could play both sides of the ball given the injuries at running back. Yeah, let's just keep him a linebacker. Brian Broom, can we get a first-round pick for Michael Thomas? You couldn't get a deck of playing cards for Michael Thomas. Corey Vuleman, morning from, and just again to explain, I don't know if you're joking or if you're trying to trigger me, but Michael Thomas's contract is untradeable. It's untradeable. When they restructured his deal, the Saints have too much dead money and he's got too much value tied up the next 3 years. So no team is going to give you an asset for the right to pay Michael Thomas $28 million a year. So no, he's not tradable. Certainly not for a first-round pick, not for anything. The Saints' best course of action with Michael Thomas, they really have two options. You either try to give it one more go next year to see if you can get him healthy and get some type of value out of him, or you cut him after June 1st and save about $3 million against the cap and carry a huge dead number and just move on. Corey Vuleman, good morning. Happy about the Tigers and the ceiling for this team going forward is high. That's true. Coach O should start hanging out on the sidelines at Saints games. Initial thoughts on Georgia being a 15-point favorite over LSU. Makes sense. I mean, when Georgia's engaged, they dominate everybody. I mean, their sort of sleepy games against Kent State and Missouri, it was pretty obvious they just weren't interested. But when they're interested, boy, they're a wrecking ball. Kenneth Westbrook, good morning. Glenn Thomas, the Saints are a train wreck of horrible front office decisions, poor coaching, injury-prone players looking for new contracts. Here's the thing, though, Glenn. Like, it's easy to say poor front office decisions, all that stuff. But they were doing all of that with an intentional purpose, which was they were trying to win now. They had an aging quarterback, and they were trying to win now with Breeze. And it didn't work. They got close. They were in the playoffs every year. They hosted an NFC Championship game. And had they gotten one more, we wouldn't be sitting here criticizing the way they went about doing it. But, well, I mean, in 17, they lost on the Minneapolis Miracle. 18 was the Nola no call. 19, the Vikings come in and throw that touchdown in the back of the end zone. You're 20, you got a home game again against the Bucks, and you beat them twice during the regular season, then they nip you. It's like, I mean, they just had some real bad playoff luck. And now, like, you bought everything on credit to be able to try to win. You didn't win, and now you're left with a bunch of bills and no championship to show for it. And it sucks. And it's easy to look back and say, why did you do all that at the time? Why'd you buy all that stuff? Well, you were trying to win a championship. And if you did, if you had, it wouldn't, nobody would be criticizing right now. Heck, in your mind, Georgia fans haven't beaten LSU in about 12 years. Yeah, 08 would have been the last time, right? That's 14 years, right? Because LSU won there in 09. Then LSU beat Georgia in the SEC Championship in 11. Oh, no. 13. Yeah, okay. 13 was the game there. The Mettenberger game where it was like the high scoring. It was 13, right? Yeah. LSU couldn't stop them either. 13, yeah. Okay. 2013. 8 o'clock. Oh, I gotta get going. Anthony Mitchell, Mark, good morning. At this point, we may as well start Winston. That's the right decision, is to start Jameis moving. Like, let him start the rest of the season and see. I know a lot of y'all have buried him already, and I'm telling you, like, you were 5-2 with him last year. He broke his back in the first game of the season. I mean, and then he tried to go play with a broken back, and it didn't look good. Shocker. Let's see if he's healthy, what it looks like. Michael Thacker, Dex Gonzalez, what's going on? Jordan Smith. I got to get going, y'all. My apologies for all these that I missed. My apologies. I wish I could stay, but I gotta get Drew up and get him out to school. So appreciate y'all as always for watching. Shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, and Restored Motions. You need an orthopedist, go to Brock. Locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. Primary location on Bluebonnet, inside of the Surgical Specialty Center. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hudco's pinned in the chat. If you click that link, fill out the contact form on the homepage. Love to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. And Restored Motions and RestoredMotions.com. If you have pain, Crystal Poche can help you. Just book a session. RestoredMotion.com. Ian Larson saying need to pursue Kellen Moore. There's a lot of good young offensive minds. I mean, that would be one of them. I don't know that would be my choice, but there are choices. More match, Dennis Allen be fired today or finish the season. Finish the season. Saints fans, please be careful. Grocery bags are now plastic. If you put the bag over your head, just don't put a plastic bag over your head. I get it. Can we admit Turner and Davenport are huge disappointments? Absolutely. I mean, that's another big part of this problem is the first round picks that the Saints have used haven't been great. I mean, Peyton Turner's not really been available. Marcus Davenport has had an injury-prone start to his career. Cesar Ruiz, I'll give Cesar Ruiz this. At least dude shows up every week. And this year he's actually improved. But the flip side of that argument is you've gotten so much value out of your mid-round picks. Michael Thomas was a 2. Marcus Williams was a 2. Trey Hendrickson was a 3. Pete Werner was a 2. You get it. Anyway. All right, I got to go, and y'all really got to go. Drew, it's 8:02. Y'all have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. Please smash that like button on YouTube. If you're new, please subscribe up to the Matt with Scone channel. Appreciate it. We're here every single morning for Morning Scone. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. We'll get you an LSU Daily a bit later this morning. Going to record a new episode of Rosters to Riches. Also, Jaden Daniels on AFR today. So looking forward to that. We'll get to talk to the LSU quarterback. Excited. So he did a deal with Gordon. And so with a cooperation with our partnership with Gordon and his, we're going to get him on AFR today. So really looking forward. So Jaden Daniels on AFR today. If you got anything you want me to ask him, shoot me a note. Be happy to consider those. So, okay. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Peace.